Hi, my name is Mark Keene. I'm here today to show you our 6-inch gravel pump floating dredge. This one's set up pretty interesting. We've got it set up with a double 6-inch intake, and we've actually tested this in a 4-inch, so I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to work in a 6-inch, but it did a good job. I'm going to give you some close-ups of the machine here. Basically, we're running it off of roughly about 100 horsepower Deutsch diesel engine. It's got a 6-inch gravel pump that can pass around, I think about a 5.5-inch sphere directly through the pump. What's nice about this particular unit is it's set up with a, as you can see right there, it's got like a clutch system on it. So you can start the engine, you get the engine good and warmed up, and engage and disengage the pump. With two or dual 263 compressors, and each one of those compressors are capable of carrying, 2 divers down to about, probably anywhere from 40 to 60 feet deep. Okay, here's a shot of the other side of the dredge. You can see the clutch lever. I'm going to zoom in on that. And that's how you would engage and disengage the engine. I'm sorry, disengage the pump. And you'll notice that there's, you've got a throttle control. It's kind of covered up with hoses and stuff because we test ran it. But basically you've got a fuel line right here, and that's what goes to the bottom of the fuel tank. And up here, this particular port is the return line, so that hose would drop to the top of the fuel tank. And I don't know if you can see it here in the camera, but you just shove the hose through that top hole there. And then the lower hose just clamps onto that lower fitting right there. Okay, I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the basic plumbing on the machine. What we have here is you have, in this particular unit, 2 6-inch hoses. Now you'll notice that the 6-inch swivel tips. Hey Tim, you do me a favor, can you pick this tip up and rotate it for me? Okay, and you can see, here, let me show a little better there. Okay, now show how the back end pivots. See, that rear end swivels, that allows you to position the tip in any position. And you'll also notice there's a suction braking flap. Remember, this thing has so much power that if a rock were to get stuck on the suction tip, then you wouldn't have the strength to pull it off. But if you break that flap, you pull the flap back, you'll break the suction so that you can so you can pull rocks and debris off the suction tip. Swing the tip around the other way for me, Tim. Alright, perfect. Now you can see the intake there. That's what actually sucks up the rocks. Because we have 2 6s going into a single 6-inch line, I actually have, I think, about a 4-inch or a 4.5-inch ID ring on the intake right there. Now keep in mind, both of those, you only see a 3-foot hose, but those suction hoses, the 6-inch hoses could be up to 100 or even 150 foot long each. And that one line there going to the power jet will probably be about that length most of the time. You want to have, the individual 6-inch lines longer versus that one in between the Y splitter and the power jet. Now you'll notice we've got this machine plumbed up. You've got a motor and pump here. You've got a motor and pump here, and all this pump system here is doing is it's used to prime the pump. So the way it works is you have the intake of the pump right there. Normally you would have a 3-inch foot valve and hose assembly, and you prime that pump by just normal procedures, just pumping the foot valve up and down until you have water coming out the discharge, and then you can go ahead and start your engine. Okay. Now you'll notice the way the plumbing is going is we have the 3-inch pressure hose running out of the discharge of the pump going into the power jet here. Now you'll notice here that the power jet is just suspended underneath the decks here, and it's a short jet, and all we're doing is we're basically forcing water into the main pump. Now there's our main gravel pump right there. Before you engage the clutch on the engine, the pump has to be flooded. So we first prime this motor and pump, then we get it, then we start the engine, and the high pressure water shoots through here, goes through here, through the power jet, forces the water up that 6-inch hose, and it floods the top of the pump. Once the pump is full of water, then you can grab your lever or your clutch lever and engage the pump, and the system should start pumping. But you always have to have the pump flooded before you start the engine. Okay, now that we've talked about the basic plumbing on the dredge, I'm going to walk you through the basic plumbing on the air system. With any air system, it's very important that you always suck in clean air. So what we've done is we have remotely mounted the air intakes. So we have our 4 air filters mounted up on a tower far away from the engine, so we don't have any chance of getting any carbon monoxide gas. And it's fairly simple. We just have 4 individual hoses. They come down here. They are underneath the decks of the dredge, and they're kind of weaved in and out through the frame, keep them out of the way. And then the 4 intakes are coming in through here. The whole system is designed for one thing, to give us as clean of air as possible. Okay? The next system is we have 2 outputs for air. Okay? Each air compressor is driving 2 separate air tanks. Normally we just have 1 air tank. However, with this particular unit, since we have 2 separate 6-inch intake lines, we could have 100 foot of 6-inch hose going this way and 100 foot of hose going that way. We're putting 2 separate air systems, and on these we built a crossover tube as well, so they always have the same pressure. So again, here's the intake, and then we have our pressure coming through our discharge lines. The air pressure is probably somewhere about 80 to 100 psi in the air reserve tank. If you want to go over here closer, Tim. Okay, you'll notice we have an air gauge. We have a couple quick release fittings on here, and these are just quick snap fittings. They're easy to attach and detach. So we have our 100-foot air line here, so I'm going to walk over here. Now, this is not a totally standard system. This is really deluxe. This is the way it should be set up. See, when you set up a dredge and you have a lot of power on it, it's very important that you have a very good communication system with the diver. A normal go dredge, you have good power, but this thing will literally tear your arm off. So you have to have a lot of control and a lot of communication with the diver. So this one, we actually have it set up with a underwater communication system. This unit has a built-in, it's actually an ocean reef mask. It has a built-in microphone and a built-in earpiece. Okay, so what this will allow you to do is, I believe it's called full duplex. You'll be able to talk back and forth to the other diver full time, and you'll be able to talk to the top man at full time. And it's actually a fairly simple system. You can see we mounted a mic inside the mask. This is just a page button. It's kind of like a warning if you need to get the top man's attention. And this is your earpiece that you hear through. And it's actually like talking through a walkie-talkie. It's fairly simple, except it's full duplex, so you don't have to push any buttons. That's just if you want to make a loud beep for the diver. So here's your full face mask, and then that ties into your 100-foot air line and ties into your air hose. This is just a plug to tap into the rope. This is your comm rope here. And it's really simple. This basically just plugs in like that. It's a waterproof connection. I'm not sure if they call for dielectric grease, but I would consider putting some on myself. And basically what you would do is you would probably just duct tape this to your air hose, is what I would probably do. And leave a little extra around the head so you don't have anything flopping your way. And then you have a box here that you just basically turn on, and testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, and that's coming through the mic right there, and you can hear. I can actually hear it through the speaker right now. So it's a fairly nice system. It's called an Ocean Reef Alpha Pro, and you can plug 2 divers into it. This particular customer, since he has 2 6-inch hoses, he has 2 full communication gears. So you plug your first diver into here and your second diver into here. And you can charge it off the main battery of the dredge, or you can plug it into a 110 or 220 charging system. And the mask comes in a nice box like this. It's a real clean, professional system. Plus, having a full-face mask, the diver doesn't have to bite down on a bit all day long. And he's a little bit more productive. He has a lot of freedom and a little higher level of comfort with something like this versus a standard bite-down regulator. And in the ocean reef mask, I've noticed it's really good peripheral vision too. So just to kind of summarize, I just discussed the air system and a real quick and dirty on the communication system. We're pulling the clean air at the other end of the dredge, going through the air compressors into the reserve tank, traveling through the air hose, up into the regulator, which is attached to the full face mask. And then I went roughly through it is an underwater communication system. And that's, so again, not to beat a dead horse, but it's very important to have good communication when you have an extremely powerful piece of equipment. And the more power you have, the more essential it becomes. So that's just the basics on this system here. Okay, now that I've covered some of the basics, I went through the basic motor and pump package, the air compressor package, the air system, the underwater communication. And we've even covered some of the basic suction intake plumbing. By the way, all these connections have to be clamped into position, and sometimes you have to take a little heat, maybe like a blowtorch or boiling water, and soak the hose in it and get it good and hot so you can slide it over the connections. And then you use the heavy-duty clamps. Fortunately, this whole end here is all under suction, so clamps are not super essential. When you go into the discharge, you have to double clamp that, and it's very important because you do not want to, 1,000 gallons a minute coming out of a 6-inch hose whipping around. It'll definitely knock some overboard, and also it'll act like a jet boat, and this dredge will be swinging around in circles. So it's very important that you have all your clamps on. I got Tim over. He's holding up a deck just to show you. The whole dredge is built in a modular system. You'll see this one panel here. It's just basically rests into place. Well, there's another panel there, and there's also 2 more panels in the rear of the dredge. Now this jet is just laid in here temporarily. And again, that jet is designed for one purpose, just to prime the main pump. That's going to be clamped to that hose there, which then connects into the gravel pump. And again, that system is just used for priming. But okay, Tim, go and close the deck down for me. Be careful, it's a little heavy. Thing weighs probably about 40 pounds. It's pretty stout. But you could put, multiple people, equipment on top of that thing. It's not going to go anywhere. Now the dredge, when we ship it for packing, it's going to be broken into, I think somewhere around, 8 major pieces. You'll notice that these particular pontoon sections here, each